Hey guys, and welcome back to another Vibe series. This week we are starting our Do Something series. I'm going to let you know in a minute a little bit more about what that is going to explore. First off, just a reminder, we are back on with our Zoom check-in this Sunday. Love to see you there, 10 o'clock. Log on, let's catch up, let's have a laugh. Just 15, 20 minutes, just a time to connect and a bit of a time to pray. Love to see you there this Sunday. So guys, to start things off today, my question for you is, if you could create your own superhero, what powers would they have? What would they be able to do? Would they be able to fly? Would they be able to time travel? Would they be able to teleport? Would they go invisible? What is it that they'd be able to do? Now, I've been thinking about this, and it's a toss-up for me, to be honest with you. I'm between flying and teleporting, because I quite like being able to just be able to get somewhere, but I don't know whether I'd like to enjoy the flight or enjoy the just click my fingers and I'm there. Or actually, my real superhero power that doesn't really help anybody else out, maybe except for me, is I'd love to be able to just think of something that I wanted to eat, click my fingers, and it just appeared in front of me. That would be the dream. But really, we love superheroes, don't we? We love the idea of the superhero. You know, we looked at Black Panther in the last series. We've looked at other superheroes throughout the other series that we've done. And we like it because ultimately they see something that's going wrong and they do something about it, don't they? They see something that might not be quite right and they act. They do something. They're the hero in that moment. And we love that. We love that feeling. We love to see it. And that's what we're going to be exploring over these next few weeks. We're going to be looking at injustice. But actually, really, to understand injustice, we need to start by looking at what God has to say about it. So let's start by defining injustice. So justice, what is that? Justice is something that's equal, fair, and right. So injustice is the opposite of that. Something is unfair, not right, and not equal. Now, when you hear the word injustice, you can probably picture a whole lot of things across the world that you think are unjust. You've got big things like racism or world hunger, those kind of things. They're things that come naturally to your mind. You see it in the news. And actually, some of that stuff can almost feel too big, can't it? It can feel like, what can little old me do about that big old thing? And it actually causes us to want to maybe hang up our superhero cloaks and kind of say, do you know what, I'll leave that to somebody older and wiser to deal with. But what if I told you that you had the potential to do something? You had the potential to make change and to change the things around you, the hurts, the injustices that you see around you. Let me show you what I mean. Have you ever set up an epic domino path? You know, one where you set up each domino just right so that the one pushes off your finger, a huge chain reaction follows. Well, that's kind of like the potential you have right now to make the change you want to see in the world. You have the power to do something about the injustices around you. But like the dominoes, you can't just take action without taking steps first. And when it comes to injustice, the first important step is this: seeing. Whether you realize it or not, when we look around about the place, whether you realize it or not, when we look around, there are so many injustices going on around us. The thing is, we just don't see most of them. Because actually, we kind of name it off as being part of the way things go. That's just how the world works. That's just natural. That's just normal. That's just how it happens. But actually, if we take a closer look, we'll see that it's not fair, it's not equal, and it's not right. Think about it. Did you know that during this pandemic, there were some schools that students could go home with iPads so they could connect online, whereas there were other schools that couldn't afford for their students to do that? Or everybody is on TikTok, and for some of us it's a great place to be and fun to use, but there are others that get bullied and horrible things said about them. Now, for some of you, you think about these sort of injustices and they're really real to you because you've lived them. You've lived them, you've felt them, you know that these things are unjust. But for others of you, you may not have seen this before. You may not have thought about the kind of small stuff that you see every day of being not fair or not equal or not right. And that's why I'm hoping that over these next few weeks we can actually start to break down what it means to fight against this injustice and what we can do about it. Because the first step in doing it is seeing it. The first step is taking a step and realizing and looking around us and being like, okay, what am I actually seeing here? And then the next thing is, what do we do about it? Let me let you in on a little secret. We aren't the first people to experience living in a world full of injustice. We aren't the first people that have needed help in opening our eyes to seeing the world around us. People have been needing this since we have been on this world. And that's what I love about Jesus. When you look at Jesus and his ministry, you see that a lot of the time he spent telling people or helping people see things that they hadn't quite seen. Much of his ministry was helping people to understand and see things the way that he saw things. So over these next few weeks, we're going to be looking at an account written by a guy named Matthew, which is a great name, I must say. He's a guy who lived with Jesus, he followed Jesus, he interacted with him, he knew him personally, and he wrote down accounts of how he acted with people, which is pretty incredible and amazing that we're able to look back at these accounts. Now, in this account, we're going to look at a specific story, a story where Jesus was talking to a group of people and trying to get them to see things slightly differently. Now, he was talking to people about righteous and unrighteous. Now, in this passage, what he means by righteous are people that are wanting to do good or do right things, and unrighteous are people that weren't doing good and weren't really bothered with kind of changing that or making or doing anything right. So we're going to pick up this passage in Matthew. Let's check it out. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did you see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison or go to visit you?" Okay, so you might be hearing this and you're probably thinking quite similar to the people at the time that Jesus was talking to. You're probably thinking, hold on a sec, like when you were hungry or when you were thirsty, when you needed clothes, I don't remember this happening to Jesus. Is that in the Bible? I'm not sure it is. And that's what they were thinking. And yeah, on one hand, yeah, you're right, these injustices didn't happen to Jesus, but that's almost the reason why he was saying it. He was saying, look, just because it's not happened to me doesn't mean that it's not happening. You're not seeing it. His followers, the people around him, weren't realizing that actually responding to these injustices was just as much an important way of showing their love to Jesus. Let's have a look and see how Jesus responded to them. The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Did you catch that? Jesus was saying that the righteous people, the people that do good, that want to help people, are those that look around them, that are aware of the situation, are aware of what's going on around them, and then they act, they do something. They help those in lower places. They help those that are in pain. They go and do something. Why? Because they understand that that's the heart of God. They understand that that's what God wants. And in doing that, that pulls them closer to who God is and also shows God's love to other people. Now, maybe you're like me, but I feel like I'm sometimes like the people that are sat listening. They just don't see it a lot of the time. I'm just not aware of what really is going on around me. And I think Jesus calls us to be. He says, look, wake up and see what is going on around you, what's happening in your neighborhood, with your school friends, at home. Reach out to those that are in pain, that aren't treated fairly. Have a look. What is going on? And then are we willing to act on that? Because you see, the first thing that we need to do in order to be able to fight injustice is we need to see it. We need to see it. And it can be so easy to turn that blind eye to it, can't it? It can be so easy to shut yourself up from what's going on around you because you've got the thing that you're doing today and you need to crack on. But actually, we need to open our eyes, have a look, be aware of what's going on around us. In order to do something, we have to see first. Now, maybe you've experienced some of these injustices. Maybe you felt kind of pushed down or unfairly treated, or something's happened to you that's not right. And if that has happened, I'm so sorry. But don't fully check out of this yet, because in the coming weeks we're going to look at ways of which we can deal with those situations when we're faced with them as well. But for the time being, for today, I want us to look at what can we start to actually do to start to see the injustice around us. What are the next steps that we can take? So how can we start doing this? How can we start to see more clearly what's going on around us? Now, for me, if I want to see more clearly, actually what I have to do is I have to put my glasses on. That's right, I do wear glasses. If I'm on my laptop all day or if I'm reading a lot, I just can't see very well and I get headaches. So I've got to put my glasses on. I've got to do something quite active in order to be able to see clearly. And that's what we've got to do when it comes to injustice. We have to be active about seeing. And the first thing that I think we need to be active about is we need to step closer in order to see it. Now, that doesn't mean if something's going on, you're getting right up in people's faces. That means just not shying away. Don't move away. Don't kind of take yourself out of a situation. If you feel like you're seeing something, instead of shrugging it off as being like, oh, that's just everyday stuff, stay. Look. Take closer inspection of what is going on. Because when we do that, that opens our eyes to actually what is happening. What is going on around us? Is this something that is equal, fair, and right? Step closer. Don't shy away. And then the second thing that we need to be active in is, I think we need to be curious. We need to be curious about other people's experiences. We need to ask questions. We need to find out more. And in doing that, maybe that means us making friends with people that usually we might think would be a little bit more different, but actually it's about being kind and making friends with them. It might be about asking big questions to your youth leaders or to your parents about injustices that you're seeing around the world that are happening to other people that you see. Ask those questions, be curious, find out more. Research some organizations that are fighting against these injustices and read about them. Now, in doing that, you might come across some really difficult stuff. Some difficult stuff to read, to see, to take on, because seeing things happen to other people, it can be really hard to look at. But I say stick in there, be curious, continue to find out more about them. But also be curious about your own experiences. Have a think back. Maybe some stuff has happened to you that you need to reevaluate and think, actually, I'm not sure I can just kind of pass this off as being this is everyday normal stuff. Actually, this isn't right. Or maybe you've been involved in something. Maybe you left a comment on somebody's video or TikTok or Instagram and actually that's really offended them, or they've taken that personally, maybe to do with their race or whatever it may be. And you haven't quite realised it. Maybe be curious about that. Find out why. Why did they react like this? Why did they do this? Be curious. Don't kind of push it to one side. Because you see, in order for us to see clearly, in order for us to see the injustice around us, we need to be active in doing it. We need to kind of take those steps, get in closer, don't shy away, be curious about people's experiences and be curious about your own experiences. In order to do something, we have to see it first. There's this great quote. It comes from Maya Angelou, and she says this: do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. Do the best you can until you know better. When you know better, do better. Don't shy away, step in closer, find out more. So guys, thank you for joining me this week. Praying for you as you go about your next week. and getting ready for schools reopening in the next couple of weeks. If you have any prayer requests, please do put them onto Instagram. And guys, if this has affected you in any way, please do talk to somebody or reach out to us, and we can help you figure out different ways that you can maybe research some organizations. But otherwise, guys, have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.